What are we doing? Because we've got two screens here,
Right.
and his and mine, so we don't know which one to look into. Let me try bringing that up a little bit. What are you doing, man? Pushing. He's over pushing.
I'm trying to. There, I'm trying to get my little comments that I can see. Wes Carpenter says hi from Ohio. Let me see who all's in the house. Let me see.
He's got all these people waiting to see him, and I have like two.
Mark Rollins, Tim Solik, Runner, Brian Hefferman, riding into Ozarks is here. Evil Rick, whatever. Anyway, let's see. I can't read that. Anyway, Mark Rollins again. See, and plenty of other people. Burning Man, Jesus is King. Yeah,
there we go. There's some of you.
Hey, what's up, Trip? What's going on? Wes Carpenter, Florida Allen, Burning Man, History in the Making. Right on. And Georgia Hillbilly is here. And the list goes on and on and on. And
hey, man.
Oh, sorry about that.
Why don't you just see if anybody's got a question, giving us something to talk about?
Well, I got a question. When you got into YouTube, well, did you ever plan to get into YouTube? Did you ever plan to like end up being the Scooter Tramp Scotty?
No, it was a complete accident.
So how'd that happen?
Oh, many years ago, people would ask me, how come you get to travel all the time and you don't have to work all the time? And how do you find these places where you camp at? And that's when I was back running around the country with Michelle, and she was pretty good with computers. And so she set me up YouTube, and if you look at them really old, like early videos, I would just take the camera and show people, okay, look, I'm in the middle of the city, see the road here, and then look at that little dirt road, and I would take them back and so that they could find camps too. I got involved in it to try to show a lot of what I got involved in the whole thing for, and the magazines and all that, was to be able to share this stuff with other people. I'm a young man, I'm running around the country, I'm having all these adventures, I'm behind the scenes at the bike rallies, I know all the people, right? I'm working on motorcycles. It's like, I'm excited. This is exciting, and I want to share it with people and maybe inspire them to do the things they want to do. And so then, many years later, I went out to visit my dad before he died, right? Because he had a bad heart. We knew he was going to die. He knew it. He'd been telling me. So I went to go visit him, and after that, out in California, after that, I went to L.A., and all these people asked me, they said, Scotty, I follow you. I had all these people stop me. Me and one of them became good friends and hung around a lot. And I was like, oh, everything's on YouTube now. And then I was crossing the country, and in Texas, I stopped to visit a buddy of mine, and he said, dude, let's put a donate button on that YouTube here. See, I didn't know how to do any of it. Michelle made this thing, and then I says to him, you know how to do that? He says, I can figure it out. And he put it on there, and then it started with that, and then YouTube don't give me a lot because I don't have a lot of followers and all that. But with that, I started making enough money to live on, and I was like, guess I got a new job. See, that's what I'm saying. It was an accident completely, man.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
How about you?
Me? Oh, well, there I was, right? Nah, I'm just kidding. But anyway, all I did was I opened up a YouTube account, just an account. That's all it was just going to be, right? And I just wanted to just subscribe to other videos. I mean, not videos, but other channels, so I can get the notification of when they upload new videos. You know, motorcycle content type stuff, fishing, whatever else I'm interested in. And fast forward a bit, I built this chopper that most of you guys know about. It's called the Tramp. Some of you over there might know about it. I don't know if you guys know this, but Scotty's running this live on his channel too. So we're both, you know.
Yeah, we're trying to look at each other's. He's using a phone. I'm using my
So if I look over
tablet.
If I look over here, I'm looking at Scotty's computer. And, you know, looking at his audience. And he looks at you guys.
We're sitting here getting ready to do this like a couple of nervous schoolgirls. You can see he's still nervous. But I'm glad to see he talks with his hands. He makes me feel better about that.
It's an Italian thing, I believe.
Are you Italian?
I've been accused of that a time or two.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Your last name, I remember. I think it is Italian.
Well, anyway, on to the story.
Yeah.
I built this motorcycle, you know, and one day I'm sitting out in the garage, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of bored, and I decided to take out my cell phone and make a cheap little cheesy cell phone video of this motorcycle I built, which happens to be the first video that's on my channel. You guys, if you ever see that if you ever go back and look at that first video, the Tramp don't look like that no more. Okay, so it looks completely different. It got chopped again. Anyway, so I put that video on the internet. It did pretty good, and for what it was, I didn't know it was called searchable content. You know, I never heard of the idea, but apparently, Sportster choppers on YouTube, people like to watch videos about them. But anyway, and I just left it there, one little video, and I really sucked at making videos back then. You know, I was like, anyway, that doesn't matter.
I still do.
Well,
kind of.
no, you don't.
They're pretty amateuristic.
Yeah, well, the
I
content.
just try to tell a decent story. That's all.
Well, the content's good, really.
That's what I got.
The story's actually better than the fancy editing like what I do. You know, because
He's an artist, man. He's more of an artist, right?
yeah. Well, I'm never satisfied with the just one single. Well, I don't know. I always got to mess with the frames and all that stuff.
You got great equipment too. You got all kind of. He's got like some cool cameras, and I got like a cell phone.
Well, I don't have any cameras.
You got like a good editing program,
Well,
and I'm using Windows Movie Maker. It's like ancient, you know.
But it works. It gets
And
the
it's
job
free
done.
too, yeah. And it's simple, so I can figure out how to use it.
Well, the cool thing about
I
Windows
got a simple mind, brother.
cool thing about Windows Movie Maker is that you can only do so much with it, so you can't help but to be real with it, right?
I don't know. I've never done anything else. I had a girlfriend show me years ago. She showed me a little bit about how to make videos on it, and then I started playing with it. It's the only one I've ever used.
Wow. Oh well. So
You guys don't know him. If you guys
yeah.
who don't know him, he likes to build bikes, and he's got a little garage here, and a tree fell on it a while back.
yeah, that's old news.
Right, but not to my guys who never seen your stuff. But
Hold on a second.
what do you mean? Hold on. What am I gonna do? Pause this?
No. I just realized when last time I went to the can, I left the strap open. Anyway.
You can zip your flip up on the camera, man. So he messes with bikes and builds them. So gearheads are kind of born more so than people. I don't think become gearheads. Guys just have an interest in that. I met young guys who are gearheads. They like to have their bikes. They like to be able to mess with them, build them, change them, do whatever they want, fix them. And can I use your real name?
Everybody knows my name.
Oh, and Corey don't. Cool. Remember the one time I used your name? You know, my name's never been used on there before.
That's funny.
So Corey likes to builds. He's got the top end off a Sportster back there. He's got quite a few bikes he's taken apart. And last time I was here, when I'm coming through Mississippi, I stop and visit him sometimes. And I was just stopping for one night last night because I'm heading through to. I got to go to Louisiana, and then I'm going to Texas, then hopefully into Mexico. But last time we went into town, and I let him ride my bagger. He's one of those guys who hates baggers. Now he's got one sitting out there. It's a newer than mine too, with less miles.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, 98, a 98.
98,
Evo?
right?
Yeah,
98 Evo.
Yeah, I wish I had it.
Still all stock on the motor.
Oh, you suck. My stuff's so worn out. It's always worn out. So his channel is about that, and also he takes trips. But he's got a home, and I slept in the garage. So the tree fell on that garage was falling apart, brother. That thing was a wreck. The door on the garage went like this. He was so proud of it. The door went like this on the garage. If you used to like lean on it, it would break in half. And then a tree finally fell and squashed it.
I have welded.
And the bikes were okay though.
I have welded that. I welded that garage door back together more than one time.
Was like that. So now he's got this nice one that's like, I don't know, 3 times the size? Twice?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger and it's nice, and he misses
his
misses his little dump. It's kind of like me.
Anonymous Biker USA calls it the Garage Mahal.
The Garage Mahal.
Yeah.
It's nice now. It's got a heater in it, man. It's pretty cool. So that's what he does, and they take trips. Him and his old lady, they take trips too. So I always stop in here. He's got a pretty good going channel. He's got a lot of followers.
It's okay. They're good guys. You guys are all great, man.
It's all the real shit. It's all the real guys building their bikes and riding their bikes and a lot of gearhead stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I met this guy because I heard about him. Someone told me about him like a long time ago when I first started watching motorcycle content, and started checking out his channel, and thought it was pretty cool for what he was doing, you know. And then just like anybody else, I think they're pretty cool. I tried to find him on Facebook, and then I found him on Facebook, and I sent him a friend request, and then he accepted it, and I was surprised about it. And then I decided, well, I'm gonna leave the guy alone. You know, he's a name. Everybody probably wants a piece of him because he's famous and rich and famous and a rock star. And so, but anyway, I would comment on his Facebook posts about his mechanicing and stuff like that. And I guess he took notice of what some of the stuff I was saying. And one thing led to another, and boom, he ends up in my driveway, and that's how all that's ended up. So I ended up on the.
Well, you know what happened,
What's
Corey?
that?
As I told you, I started that stuff, and the YouTube stuff started this way, the magazines, because I wanted to. I was living this big life, and I wanted to share it with people and to interact with people who shared a similar passion. Or these were actually my thoughts at the time. I didn't even know Easy Rider was going to pay me. I had no clue.
Yeah.
So until they did, I had no idea. And I wanted to share this stuff with people. I wanted to inspire them to maybe do the things that they want to do. Let people have things they want to do, dreams and desires, and be able to relate to them and be accessible. You understand? That's why I've had a little bit of fame for many years, but too much of it spreads you so thin that I can't have personal interactions with people. So I was able to get back to you. I try to get back to people. If I miss you, it's usually because the comments didn't show up. I haven't seen them. The phone didn't tell me, or I get some on videos, comments, and I don't know. I'm not any good at that shit. I'm a Neanderthal.
Yeah, you're not a Neanderthal.
Yeah, I am. For Christ's sake, look at me. God damn it, I'm as old as a dinosaur now.
Well, let's see
What do we got? Anybody talking? We got anything fun?
I'm gonna look here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Any of you's got any questions or anything up? Hey, Anonymous Biker is here. My two heroes.
Pages?
Wish we could listen, but we are drinking in a bar. Well,
Matthew, worried about
and I'm
draining
missing
my
much.
battery? What are you talking? Oh,
Hey, this guy here, Andy, wants to know: do you ever stay in a motel? I seen you stay at a motel once, but it was closed. Ha ha ha.
yeah, usually I do if they're abandoned.
If they're abandoned?
Yeah, because the price is right, dude. I stayed in one in Mexico recently that was abandoned. Stayed a night there. It didn't have a roof and it didn't have a front wall, but it didn't have a front, but it had walls around the three sides, keep the wind down.
Whatever works, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what happens. What are you looking? You find it? Uh-oh.
I'm finding questions.
I'm having to use this tablet, and it has to be leaning up on these books.
Hey, what was this guy?
And it's not right. What's the matter with it?
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a little better.
Is that better?
Who was that guy you was talking to on the phone?
Look at that. It's screwed up again. I'm gonna leave it like that.
What was that guy's name you was talking to on the phone? Is this him? Oh, I messed it up.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Says SaddleTramp, Kickin, nice talking with you today when I was on the call with Scotty. Oh, Randall Boy 7. Randall Boy
7-7. Yeah, he's in Lafayette.
Okay.
I'm going to visit him on my way through there.
Scoots was wearing big dog. My favorite two tramps. Anonymous Biker says that.
Big dog shirt. Yeah. I'm not really a Chopper fan either.
Tramps.
But I am a fan of free shirts.
I found SaddleTramp, in turn found Scooter Tramp Scotty. Okay, Country Coda says he found you by the. I guess it was from the video I made about when you came down and you stayed the weekend the last time. Remember that?
So I like to visit, Corey, but there's also you got me covered, buddy. But there's also some truth in the fact that his old lady cooks and he's got a washing machine. But really, that's not really important. I come to visit these guys.
My Dun Life, it's actually a 1200cc to answer your question. Has anybody got any questions for this guy right here?
Maybe on mine, buddy.
Huh?
How do you make it like that with all them? See the way they're coming up? Look at these. You can hardly read them. Is there a way to fix that?
I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. That's a small screen.
I don't know. This is the third time I've ever done this. What am I drinking, Dr. Pepper?
Okay, somebody asked, what's the most life-threatening time you've had on? Oh, dang. What's the most life-threatening time you've had on a motorcycle? Either of you both. Thank you. How about you?
Oh, I don't know. I would have to say that I was in this camp in Greggy Wash, and I woke up and I was in my tent and I had the door open
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't awake. I was dead asleep. And I came to with this guy pounding on my face, right?
Whoa. What was that all
Yeah, I
about?
left the door open. Right about then, his old lady got up from next to me, screamed his name, and tackled him out my door.
Oh,
Guy give me a
goodness.
black eye, too. Huh?
Well,
And you know what's interesting? He left. He left right away. I mean, I was dead. I mean, I was really dead asleep. He left right away, and she stayed. So that's my most life-threatening thing.
I bet you
And
didn't
then
sleep
he
no more.
ripped my tent, and she come back the next day, and she brought me his money, more than my tent was worth. Buy another one. I got a black eye for it.
That's an odd
What the hell's going
situation.
on? Yeah, but on a motorcycle, I don't know.
I tell you, the most life-threatening thing for me on a motorcycle that comes to mind, and I didn't even know I was in a situation. I was going from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and trying to go to Louisville, Kentucky, and trying to do it all in one day, but it was raining when I got started, and I figured, oh, I'll just get out of this rain. Apparently, I was riding with the system. And it got to where the rain was getting harder, the wind was blowing harder by the time 5 o'clock came around, and I was like, okay, that's it, I got to get a hotel. Okay, and anyway, I got a hotel, and then I got up the next day, went a few miles further and into Missouri, and just stopped in this little town called Caruthersville to try and read the map to see where I need to go, and the whole town was obliterated. Apparently, there was some tornadoes that night when I was trying to keep on going, and I stopped just in time. If I'd have kept on going, I would have got caught up in that mess. So I guess that's the most life-threatening thing I could think of, but I didn't know it was life-threatening at the moment until the
You ever
next day.
seen a wall cloud?
A wall cloud? What's that?
You ever seen that? Yeah, I didn't know what it was until the first one I saw. I was in North Dakota, man. And if you guys have ever been through North Dakota, a lot of it is just wide open plains, fields, and I mean, it's not very populated. And a wall cloud, I can tell you what a wall cloud is, man.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm listening to you.
You know, I saw this storm ahead of me, and the wall cloud stretches across the horizon. I'd never seen one, didn't know what it was. And they tend to churn. They're just churning. They're real high energy, and they're usually full of lightning. And they're like,
Really?
yeah, I've seen quite a few of them. I was trapped by another one in an abandoned house once in Wyoming. But the Great Plains supposedly gets the most powerful storms in the world. I don't doubt it. So I will run from a wall cloud when I see one. So they're usually full of lightning, and the lightning's like this. It's like zap, 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 and you're watching it go off. Now, usually they're sheet lightning, but that one in North Dakota, I was watching the lightning bolts bounce off the ground in front of me, and this road was going straight into it, man.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, and there's nothing out there. There's no towns or nothing where I was, but there was a barn, and I rode through this field and got into this barn, and I sat outside and watched that storm come in. In the barn, you could drive a tractor through the middle, but it had, like stalls that were closed with doors that closed for animals, but they were all clean. And I put the bike in between, and when the storm came in, I went into one of the stalls and stayed the night.
Did it shake the building up pretty good?
I don't remember, but I was stuck in another one. Was the most powerful storm. I was stuck with about 15, dare I say, yuppies. It was in Wyoming at the Sturgis rally, and we were all trapped in this abandoned house. It's a whole story. My camera wasn't working. My camera's broken. I couldn't get pictures of it. But that was the most powerful storm I ever been. I could tell that story too, but that's just another story, But
Yeah, I think those are more intense of a situation
that was incredible.
Yeah.
This was an abandoned gas station, and the door was open, and the roof went out to where the pumps used to be, and I put my bike up against the building under the roof, and it's the only storm I ever been in that pushed water into my saddlebags and my trunk.
Whoa.
They don't even push it in there when you're riding, and this was unparked under a roof. Lightning hit the driveway, and we went inside. I found the place, of course, and all the other guys start stopping. And and you're stuck. When you have a wall cloud, when it hits, I came across 90 a couple years ago, and there was one to my right, which is to the north, because I was heading west, up in South Dakota. I was in South Dakota, and I'm thinking, well, it's going to be moving east, because usually weather moves east, but it wasn't. It was moving at me. Wow. So I kept moving, and I got out the front of it. And as I got out the front, I stopped and took pictures. And I'm trying with the camera, it's hard to just get the lightning, but I did, because there was so much lightning going on. And the next day, a friend of mine called me. He lives in Kansas. He told me that when that thing hit them, you were stuck where you were. If you were in the grocery store, you had to stay. If you were If you were wherever you were, if you were in your car, you couldn't drive. You had to stop and just sit in your car.
Wow.
That happened in one in Wyoming. There was a car sitting out front with its blinkers on. You couldn't move. So if you ever see a wall cloud, take notice. I'll run.
That's
I
a
run
force.
from those things.
So that's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, I've been in two of them. I've been in two of them, and I've avoided one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be as far as riding. I don't know. Let's see, guys. Let's see if anybody's over here got anything. Yeah, 2 sets of glasses. I know. Diet Pepsi, yeah, that's what he's got here. Or no, this is Diet Dr. Pepper. He's got it here. So I just, neither one of us drinks. You don't drink, do you? No, you don't drink.
This Tom Edwards says Control and Plus will enlarge. I guess that means your font.
Control and plus?
Yeah.
Where's the plus? You see a plus?
Where
Where is it?
I don't know.
Mm.
Every keyboard's different.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know about him. It's starting to look like he don't either.
Plus is right there.
There. Control plus.
Oh, I made it smaller.
Didn't change nothing.
Oh.
Whoa!
Hey, it did make it bigger.
Okay.
Made the screen.
Made the screen small.
Thanks, Tom. He can see now.
How do I earn money on the road? Rabbit Roger, huh? Oh, you haven't seen some of the old stuff because I've talked a lot about that. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the most common questions I get asked is about finances. Sometimes people are a little embarrassed to ask me. They're like asking somebody about their money, but I talk openly about it. And in the early years, I used to go back to San Diego and work in the winters and save money for the summer, but you know what, Hannah and I would be gone all summer because I actually started being on the road all summers in 1991. After that, I was 1 month, and then after that, I was on the road all summer. But I flew by the seat of my pants on blind faith, and I'd run out of money, and I'd keep going. And I don't know how that works. Fate, the God of the road, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I never went hungry. What I needed came. And so I took off from California 1 year with $500, and that's before I knew how to work the rallies. I traveled 9 months, ended up in Canada, and I got back into California 9 months later with $550. And I got down to $50 a couple times, but I never ran out. I looked for work, but things came to me when I needed them.
Providence.
That kind of faith, man. At 25 years, I've been on the road full time, and I've lived mostly on blind faith the whole time. And there comes a point, because there's an old saying, do what you love to do because you truly love to do it, and the money will come. Okay, so I'm not religious. I think most people know that, because I've said that, and it's true. But I kind of follow. Most people have an idea of a God of some kind, and I'm not. I don't care if nobody else does. But we talk about trust. Some of us talk about trusting God, but we really trust His money. And there came a time when I had to follow my heart and just trust and see what happened. And 25 years of having that work is enough to kind of convince you there's some truth in that. The other thing is I began to work the motorcycle rallies. I worked them for 25 years. A lot of the guys worked the motorcycle rallies. You go to a rally and you put in a hard week. You work your ass off, and then you get your pay and you're off again. And once you get to know those vendors, they'll ask you to work other rallies. And so you can travel to different states and work and get your money. That's one way I did it. Those are two ways. Now, I don't need a lot of money to live on, so the video thing's really just making me enough, as long as I don't like stay in fancy hotels. Who was it who asked about the hotel?
I lost him.
That was one of your guys asked about the hotel, so I want to say something about that to you.
Okay.
It's the people who, all the guys I watch them out here, guys who stay out long enough become to where they don't want to be inside anymore. I seen it. I watched it happen to Chuck, and Chuck's part yuppie. He wanted to camp, right? He had a bike. He likes to travel, but he wanted to camp. So, he shows up. He wants to travel me a little bit and like take a shot at it. He shows up. He's got a $400 tent. I'm like, ooh, I have an $80 tent. Right? I'm like, ooh, we're not worried. So Chuck started doing all this traveling and all this camping, and he told me, he said, that the tent's becoming to feel like my home. He goes to his mother's house. He told me, I go, and she's like, why don't you sleep in the house, son? Because he's camping in the backyard. He says, Mom, this feels like home. So I don't know why that happens, but I've seen it happen to all the guys that stay out long enough.
Wow.
You get to where when you stay in a room, I stay in a room and somebody gives me a bedroom and I'm like, it feels like a box. It's got 4 sides and a lid. and you're used to that freedom. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But there comes a point when you don't want a house anymore. When you don't want a house anymore, all of a sudden things get really easy. I'm staying out in the shop right now, in the garage, right?
Yeah,
I would leave the door part way open, but it's cold at night here. But it's a big room.
Yeah,
With the bikes, I'm sleeping with a bunch of bikes. Yeah, many times I sleep with a bunch of bikes in motorcycle shops.
Speaking of bikes, somebody asked, Georgia Hillbilly wants to know how's the new motor.
The new motor runs great. I have a problem with it, and that is that it has an aftermarket cam in it. And for those of you who know anything about Evos, I think shovel heads are the same way, ain't they? You had a shovel. I've never had a shovel. But the cam bearing and the pinion gearing, or the cam gear and the pinion gear have to be matched to each other. And these are not matched up correctly. And so what it does is it's making a lot of valve noise. The cam gear is too small. I need a set of matching ones. If anybody out there has one that knows what I'm talking about, I need a pinion shaft for a 1995 Evo engine and a cam gear, a pinion gear and a cam gear that match each other. Because it's just noisy. Other than that, it runs great. It runs fine.
Trip on Two Wheels wants to know if you're coming through San Antonio on your way west.
No, I'm going from Texas into Mexico. It's getting too cold, man, up here. I'm already running late. Joe's down in Mexico, and every time I talk to him, he makes me want to go. Yeah, I was talking to him today, right? He calls me up, Joe Raider. He's got Dirty Vagabond Biker. What is that station? I always forget his name that he's got. He's got a YouTube channel, too.
I don't know. Somebody wants to know if you have any beef with any other YouTubers, but this probably isn't the platform to express that.
What is it?
If you have any beef with any other YouTubers.
No, I don't. Hey, Scotty, why is it you don't pull a trailer? Who's asking me that? Matt? The reason is, Matt, is because less is more for me. You know, I've said this little piece of philosophy many times. Maybe you've heard it, but I used to have a big house and 2 cars and a truck, 3 bedrooms and all that. And what I found out at that time was, this is why I see it, it's like a scale. On one side you have stuff, and the other side you have freedom. And the more I put in one, the more it tilts the other way. There's no gain, it's a trade. So the trailer, adding more stuff, everything I need fits on the bike. With the trailer, you got to park like a car. No more parking like a motorcycle. You have 2 more tires. Some trailer hitches like to break. You have, when you want to back up. Yeah, this guy came with me for a while. We camped out in the woods, and he managed to pick it up and move it, or you got to unhook it so you can turn the bike around, turn it around. It's just more is less is more. So I'm a little bit extreme on the minimizing of stuff because I want more freedom. But this scale is adjustable for the individual. Does that make sense? There's no right or wrong in it. It's a matter of what you want more of. But when I had my big house and everything, I didn't get to do a lot. I was too busy trying to hold my empire together. I want a small empire and a big life, you know.
Scotty, guy named Lee wants to know, how do you legally enter Mexico, and what advice would you give for riding down there?
The advice that I give?
The advice.
The advice I give is get everything you think you need, bungee cord it on your bike, pick your balls up, set them on the seat, hit the gas. 80% of the going is in the head, is in the mind. That's what I think. 80% of the obstacle is in the mind. But what you got to do is, right when you get across the border, if you want to go down in far, right when you get across the border, you just ask them there, where's immigrations, the buildings are, you go in there. You got to have a passport. You pay them 30, I think, or 35 bucks for a 6-month visa. If you want to take your vehicle into the mainland of Mexico, for Baja, you don't need this, but you need a vehicle importation. For an old bike like mine, I have to put up $220 at the border, and I got to pay like 35 bucks. That's good for 6 months. If that vehicle doesn't come back out in 6 months, they keep the money, and they'll never let me bring another vehicle back into Mexico. I seen it happen to a guy.
Oh, really?
He tried to go in. He was trying to bring a different one. Yeah, he hadn't brought the one out because he left it in Guatemala. Oh. It was a KLR, and he was bringing it. They wouldn't let him. We couldn't get in. It's to deter people from bringing stolen vehicles into Mexico. If you have a new vehicle, you got to put up $420. Wow. Me and Joe went across. He's riding a 300cc Ninja. I'm riding my Bagger, right? He had to put up the $420 because his bike was newer.
Oh, man. That's
I had to put up the $220. So when you come back across the border, you stop at immigrations, and they give you your money back. and they give you a receipt. They've always given it back to me. What else we got?
I'm looking on my thread.
You're looking on yours.
I'm at the
I gotta change
bottom end of
glasses.
Tornado
For those
Alley.
of you who wonder, I went in to get my eyes checked, right? Because my distance was starting to get fuzzy. I've needed readers since I was about his age. He's like in his early 40s. I'm in my early 60s, right? Okay. And the eye doctor, she told me, she said, try a set of 100 readers for distance. And I said, for distance? 100 readers? And she said, yeah, just try them. And I did. And that's what these are, 100 readers. No, these ones are. And the other ones are 300. And so I just gave him my 100s because his distance is starting to get fuzzy last night, and they work for him. So you can try it if your distance is starting to go. That's why I'm always switching. I tried to have bifocals made twice. They both didn't work. They didn't work. So I'm constantly switch glasses. Oh, shut up. I don't want to hear about the old age thing.
It's part of growing up.
Oh, shut up.
I got this one question. One guy says he has an '02 Sportster. He's thinking about upgrading and getting a Springer Softail, but should I keep hardtail and chop out the Sporty, or just sell as is, or thoughts? Or really, dude?
That's your question.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say just go with what you want to do. You know, in case you're wondering what my thoughts are, chopping is, I don't know, it's kind of like an acquired taste. Just like some people like this bike, some people like that bike. But the satisfaction, if you do chop your bike and you get it going as a running motorcycle, it's something that's yours. And then there's a challenge to be made whenever you want to do the ridiculous with it, like travel from state to state on them. But that's because that's just what I did. But you know, it's really all in what you want to do. I can't really say this is the right way or this is the wrong way. It's just it's going to be up to what you want to do. There's some things I wished I hadn't have done. But I'm still glad I did them, you know. It's kind of strange in a way, you know.
Country Coder is asking me how you get jobs at the motorcycle rallies. It's done the old-fashioned way. You go to the rally, especially a big rally. There's lots of vendors. You walk up and you ask for a job. And if he says he don't need nobody, you go to the next one until they hire you, until somebody hires you. And if it's early in the rally and the tents are empty, there's not many customers, your chances of getting hired are less. And so sometimes it'll take till end of the week and then they'll hire you. You just got to ask for a job. And once you get one, you got to weed these vendors out because some treat you better than others and some definitely pay better than others. So when you find the good ones and then you get to know them, they get to know you. Now they are the modern day gypsies. They travel from place to place selling their snake oil or whatever anybody will buy in these trucks. So you live in trucks and tents. It's like being some kind of a modern gypsy, man.
Yeah.
Really, that's the whole scene. And so at any rally, there's two scenes. There's the party scene, the people who've come for the rally, and there's the behind the scenes scenes, the people who've come to make it happen. And it's two different scenes. And once you get into the back one, the guys know you. And how easy is it for them to get people that want to work all over the country? It's not always easy. So we're a very good match. If you're wanting to travel and drift, you're really good. And so once they get to know you, they'll be like, do you want to work Galveston Rally? Or do you want, I need somebody at Myrtle or whatever. They'll try to get you to work rallies. I had one old boss, he used to ask me, he said, Scotty, he said, I tried, he wanted me to work more shows. They do a vendor, it's called the show, right? He said, I don't know how to motivate you. He said, I tried money, it doesn't work. I said, Peter, he's a workaholic, right? He's a workaholic. I said, Peter, once I got some money, I want to go do something else now. I don't want to go get more money. You know what I mean? I don't want to spend my time getting more money. I've got some. I want to go do something. That life was to make as much money as I could. I began to get better jobs at the rallies. I didn't have to work as many. For most of those years, I worked around a month and a half a year because that's all I needed. But my costs are low. So I can live off YouTube stuff, right? Because stuff that most of you guys, the guys who hit that donate button are really buying my gas. And I never want anybody to feel obligated to do that because you're totally not. But so I began to get better jobs, and you just don't have to work as often. And so, but it's really cool to be behind the scenes because you know all the people in the back. At night, they'll be out there, and a bunch of the vendors will have gotten together, a handful of them, and they're barbecuing, and you're in with the guys, and you're in the shops, and you get all their stuff. You end up with their stuff for free or for cheap. You know, they give it to you or almost give it to you. You end up with it. They sell saddlebags or leather jacket, whatever the hell it is, right? So you got to weed through them, find out the ones that are good. But you have to go ask for a job. That's the way. I'm old, I think now, and that's the way it was always done. I always walked in and asked for a damn job. There's no computers, none of that game bullshit. You walk in, you say, "Hey, dude, you want me to work for you? I need a job."
Somebody's asked.
Country killer, that's who. Yeah. So that's how you do it, brother. Show up, ask for work. I tend to like to work at the big rallies because if I go to if a vendor comes to a 3-day show or a 4-day show, like a weekend show, okay, he's bringing his own guys. He's probably going to set up a small tent. But if he's going to a week-long show, he may set up a larger tent, hook a few together. He needs more extra people. There's always teardown work. Even when I didn't work the rallies, a lot of times I wanted to party instead, right? At the end of it, there's like one day where they all need to tear down tents and load their trucks and everything in their trucks. You can always at least get a day or a day and a half, maybe 2 days worth of tear down work. So I'd party the rally and get enough money at the tear down that it would have paid for my whole stay there. Because working at rallies ruins it for you because you can't go out and watch the drag races. Yeah, those are the ones I need. Where do I shower on the road? Gee, I think I made a video about all that stuff.
You have to link that in the description later, huh?
I don't know. Let's get you going back to SaddleTramp.
Well,
I don't know. I think I talked about it.
Well, Tyler.
I live really well.
Tyler.
It can be done.
Tyler Lobenthal. Sorry if I butchered your name. What's your most mechanical failure on a bike on the road? When you're on the road, basically.
Me?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, because you're the one who's on the road, not me.
I lost I've had more breakdowns on the side of the road than most of the people I know have had in their lives. Because that's where I always break down, is on the road. One of them that comes to mind was I lost a valve guide seal 635 miles south of the border.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And I was riding with Laura. I had a girl with me, and it was at night, and we pulled into a little store in a nowhere town. And when I came out, one cylinder wasn't firing, and I took the spark plug out, put my thumb over the hole. There was no compression, rear cylinder. And the valve guides on these Evos can slip out. I had it happen once before. And here I am. I'm like, what am I going to do now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it was my own fault. I had a bad intake manifold, and I was leaking air, and the thing was running hot. And I wasn't paying attention because I was interested in going into Mexico, and I had the girl, and I just didn't want to mess with the bike, right? So it was the heat. It was overheating. Yeah. And this mechanic, he says to me, bring it over to my shop, and you can work on it there. I says, okay. He says, it's down the road. He says, I don't live there, but you can camp there, and I'll show up in the morning. We'll deal with it then. I said, okay. Meanwhile, I took a straw and stuck it in my oil tank, put my thumb over it, and I put oil inside the spark plug hole. I'd read in a magazine once a guy who had a stuck valve, and another guy put oil in there to bust the stuck valve loose.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd done that. So I put it in. I got a ride to this guy's shop on one cylinder. On the way there, the other one starts firing. We stay the night at his place, me and Laura. The next morning, I ride the bike up and down the road, and it's working. And I kept going in to Mexico. 3,000 miles later in Texas, it started belching smoke out the rear cylinder. I went to a friend's shop, pulled the head, and the guide on the valve was stuck to the valve, and the guide had been moving up and down the head. I pulled the head off, took it to a machinist, had him fix the one valve, because the engine didn't need rebuilt. I put it back on, took it off one day, gave it to the machinist the next morning. He gave it back to me that afternoon, and I had it running the next day. It cost me $50. $50 for that. And there's so many other repairs, I can't even go over them all. They've been everywhere,
Somebody was asking me, I saw the question earlier. Sorry, I forgot your name. I can't find it now, but asking me, what do I think is the best engine, Harley-Davidson engine? And I will say
that's touchy. That's a tricky one.
Well, I don't think you can say best is better, like in the sense of best for you personally. And what do you want out of a HD motor? What do you want out of any motorcycle? You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of a relative statement. If I were to say what's the best, or what's the worst, that'd be a subjective thing to say. And I'm not really the authority on that. But here's the thing. I'll put it like this. I am by no means a purist when it comes to, motorcycles. It just happens to be what I want out of a motorcycle and what I want to do with a motorcycle. well, then the motorcycle for me falls in the Harley Davidson camp, not because it's the best, but just because that's what I want out of a motorcycle. Okay, what do I want out of a Harley Davidson? What do I want out of the motor? What do I want out, what are my stipulations? What are my, this, that, and the other? And I have a very, how do I say it? What I want out of a motorcycle narrowed me down to a certain genre and class and era of motorcycles from Harley Davidson, and that happens to be in the Evo. Now, I'm not saying that that is the best motor. I will say it is one of the best motors as far as reliability, dependability, being straightforward. And if you got a mechanical mind, it is a very straightforward motor, easy to work on. If you got some sense, or just, like if you're mechanically inclined. Now, me saying that, I'm not saying Evo is the best motor. It just depends on what you want out of a motor. Because some people will say, no, twin cam's better. Okay, well, if you want more performance, get you a twin cam or an M8 or something like that. But me, I'm looking at what works. I'm looking at longevity with reliability, with simplicity at the same time. So I know that's a lot to say that the best motor is the motor that you want,
Right.
what you want out of that motor. So, but if you ask me what do I think is the best for me, it falls in line in the Evo era. Isn't it? It's kind of like where you're at, isn't it?
Can I take a shot at that one?
Okay, his turn.
The best one's the one that you like, but if we're talking Harleys here, it's a matter of what you want.
Right.
Some guys call me and ask me what's the best bike to get. What bike should they buy? And I'm like, you're probably better off with a modern motorcycle because you wouldn't be happy with the performance of an old one. Okay? Because the new ones do perform better.
Yeah, they do.
But if you want a bike and an engine and all that you can do whatever you want with it, you can rebuild. If you look at what he's doing in his shop, he's got the heads off that Sportster. He's doing a top end on it. They're the simplest.
That video's not out yet.
Well, they'll see it.
Yeah, they'll see it.
What he's doing, you're working. You've done this lots of times.
Yeah.
I just put an engine together, okay, and they're so simple. If you work on your own stuff, then the Evo's the one to have. You can do whatever you want, rebuild it. If you're not going to work on it anyway, go for something newer that has more performance.
And if you want to work on it,
most people aren't going to put 1 million miles on them anyway.
And if you want to work on it a lot, go buy you a shovel head or an iron head.
Yeah, an iron head. I had 2 of those.
If you like working on them more than riding them, go buy one of those.
Yeah, I just stopped in here just to say hi. What was it, yesterday? I was going to stay for the night.
Yeah, they called me while I was at work. I was supposed to be
I was
working.
coming through here. I wanted to visit you. I haven't visited you guys. I usually visit Puppy. I visited Sunshine, but I don't always end up, because they live close together.
Yeah, they live like literally
Yeah,
right around
but we
the corner.
sat up last night talking till late, right? I was enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, me too. But I was dozing.
Yeah, you got to work. He's got
Yeah.
a regular job, but
But it was pretty good time.
yeah, it was good. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna stick around
Yeah.
every day, and then I did my
In fact,
the laundry, back to the washing machine.
I mean,
My laundry today.
nobody ever comes over to say hi, and you don't even live around here. All my local friends, you show up more often than they do.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't.
I come to visit people
About
because I
as
don't
much.
need the house. I really don't. I just spent 3 nights. I mean, I don't need the house, but I do like that. I do need the washing machine, but you saved me a trip to the laundromat.
Yeah, he said that on
He
the
saved
last.
me $5.
He said that on the last video.
I'm just teasing
from
your
2 years
ass.
ago. I do have a washing machine and a dryer. But that's,
Teasing your ass.
I
yeah.
know.
But no, it is convenient because laundromats are.
well, there is an
drag.
element of truth to that.
Yeah, there's an element, but it ain't why lights go. There's a laundromat
I'm
in
going
every
to
town, brother.
I'm going to Tramp's house. He's got a laundry.
Yeah,
laundromat.
that's the only reason I come. Yeah. And his old lady feeds me too. And it's a nice piece of property you got here. It's really nice.
That's
And your
pretty
new
good.
shop, I think the new shop's great. He's like not sure about it yet because it's not a little dump. He's used to like cast iron Sportsters, and
Yeah.
those are, if a motorcycle was a shed, Sportster would be a little dump. Like that thing you had. I had 2 of them. I can say cast iron Sportsters. Man, they were rough.
Yep.
They broke. I had 2 of them, man.
Somebody asked me one time what was so problematic about those bikes.
I don't know, but there is something.
Well, here's how I put it. They're not problematic. It's just the fact that most people nowadays who own them, who are not from that era, don't know anything about what the maintenance that's required to keep those things running. You know what I'm saying? Because most people want something that's like they can just fire up and go, and no, you got to keep up with the maintenance intervals on those bikes, and it's more what do you call it? There's more to it than saying riding an Evo or
Yeah.
riding an M8.
I had pretty regular maintenance intervals, but the maintenance is a little different because rather than changing the oil, you do things like fix a hole that blew through the cylinder, right? That's maintenance. Starter don't work, right? Clutch don't work, right? Maintenance.
Well,
That's maintenance to one of them old Sportsters, man.
well,
For mine, it was.
well, I guess so.
Then I
don't know.
think I get it going.
But if you change the oils on a regular basis, adjust the valves like you're supposed to,
Yeah, and
gap your points just
put new
right,
pistons in when it blows holes through them, and when the valves call up and you need a valve
adjust
job.
your carburetor so you don't run so lean where you blow a hole in the piston, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you
Make
get it
sure
all
you-
together, you grab your brake and all your fluid goes squirting out of it onto your tank and burns through your paint. These are all things that happen to mine.
Well, these,
I'm just, yeah, that's how I learned.
well,
That's-
here's another
it's a
characteristic.
crash course in Harley repairs. Man.
True. and
Mine was.
The characteristic about old bikes too is that they all have their own individual problems. They're not all as
Intake manifold leaks with that bike. But that bike was,
Yeah.
somebody had screwed it up by the time I got
Well,
it. It wasn't in great condition.
with my first
one.
with my first Harley. It was an iron head, and the problems that I had with it was constantly transmission issues, but I never had issues with the top end.
I did.
You know, and other people, it's the other way around. They had issues with the top end or with the bottom end. I had transmission problems all the time. You know?
Did you?
Yeah, I don't. It
You
just,
know, actually, I didn't have a transmission problem with that bike.
yeah, mine was really because I was too ignorant to know how to own an old Harley Davidson too. Because I thought to myself, oh wow, it's not leaking no more. I guess it fixed itself. Because I come from like riding a Honda at the time, you know, and I never had to fix that.
For those who say Harleys break too much, I think they do break more than Jap bikes because they vibrate, but that reputation comes from the old days before the Jap bikes existed. Back before, the 70s and the late 60s, all the motorcycles were mechanically unsound. The Jap bikes, Kawasaki and Honda and all them didn't exist back then. And the bikes that did, the early cars were the same way.
Yeah.
You had to work on them. And then later on it all changed and everybody had to bring in reliability. So they all have some now. So a lot of that stigma about them breaking down all the time is from that.
Oh yeah.
Mine have a tendency to break from high mileage, I think,
Well,
really high mileage.
most motorcycles are not built to take on the high mileage of. Well, I guess if you're going to constantly ride it every day, you know, they're somewhat. I used to watch.
These are right.
I used to watch SRK cycles. Well, I watch them every once in a while, and the guy constantly talks about how motorcycles are a luxury item only. I don't know. That's all in perspective, you know.
Dave's asking me about my Softail. I got that Softail with 13,000 miles on it, Dave. That was a long time ago. It's my first Evo, and I traded it off with, I think it had 110,000 on it. I traded it for a bagger. And then the bagger I had for a long time, I retired it with 534,000 miles on it, which is too much.
Hey,
They're falling apart by then, man. It's not worth it.
this guy,
Get another one.
a horse named Dollar, says, if you had $1 million, would you still be a scooter tramp?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of times I've had more money than I needed, and I keep doing the same thing. I just eat better.
Well, that makes sense.
We had a time, during the real rally boom, when I was working all over the place. I was working with these really cool guys, and I was making way more money than I needed. I just ate better, that's all. It's no different. Maybe I'd buy a new tire instead of trying to find, I'd go to the shops and be like, hey, and then they'd have a good one with a nail hole in it, and I put a tube in it. I did that stuff all over the place. Used parts, Now, if I have money, I'll buy something new because they say the cheap guy pays 3 times as much. You ever heard that, Corey? A friend of mine told me that, and I was the cheap guy for so long. I'm like,
you mean in the
getting
long?
used parts and trying to make them work, because I don't have the money for the new stuff, right?
Right.
And the guy told me the cheap guy pays 3 times as much, and I thought about that because a lot of times there's so much trouble trying to use used parts and do that. Buy a new one, put it on there, forget about it.
This
What do we
guy,
got?
this guy's asking, what should I look for in buying a late '90s electric glide? I don't know. You go first on that one.
Me?
Yeah.
What I say is look for low mileage on it and the least molested as possible. The problem is the bikes are all molested, and one of the ways you tell about the mileage, this is good for everybody to know, for every motorcycle, is if you're looking at the speedometer and it says 20,000 miles on it, okay, you look at the grips, you look at especially the switches,
Right.
where the lettering on them, where like the start button and the blinkers, you look to see that lettering's still on there. If it's all worn off, then that speedometer is lying to you.
That's a
You
fact.
look at where the guy's feet connect, where the rider connects to the bike. You look at the shifter, look at the brake lever and see if all that stuff's worn, that speedometer's lying to you. So the lowest miles and the least molested, the closest to stop possible, because people screw with them. A lot of this bike I have has had a lot of trouble because of what the people before me did.
I
won't even go into it, but they were way less qualified than me for the stuff they did, man, in there. That was just ridiculous. I had to fix.
the motorcycle that my wife and I went and looked at before we bought the bagger that we have now, it was advertised as having 1,400 miles, and it was a 1989, and so we thought, okay, well, let's go look at it just for the heck of it. It was all the way in Tuscaloosa, about 250 miles from here, and we got up there. I'm looking at the bike. It's the odometer says 1,400 miles, but everything what you just said, all the writing was missing off of the buttons. I didn't really look too much at the foot controls, but what I did notice is that I'm looking at the engine, and the engine has been painted. It's not a stock Harley paint, I can tell, and it was painted like the heads and cylinders were painted. There was no paint on the cases. There's no paint.
It'd been apart.
Yeah, it's been
It's
taken
been
apart.
apart.
Right.
Somebody's lying.
Yeah. So I look for stuff like that.
The lettering come off like about 50,000 miles. Usually it starts, like if you look on mine, the lettering's not even there anymore. But
Right.
It was when I got it. I got it with 34,000. It looked like new on there.
And that's one of the things I looked at on the bagger that I have is that all the lettering is still on the buttons. The mileage is correct. Of course, I can't really say anything about the brake pedal because it had an aftermarket brake pedal on there. But
the numbers tell you. The lettering tells
Yeah.
you. Because people ain't
Well,
usually going to replace all that.
Here's this. I
To
had all
replace the speedometer.
I had all the paperwork to it. The guy presented all the paperwork to it of everything.
I want your bike.
Everything that had been done. Look, here,
I'll give you $100 in trade. And trade you mine.
I already did something like that. I ain't doing that again.
I'll give you $1,000 and mine.
1,000. Yeah, nah, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Mine was great when I got it, but it's really, yeah, it's starting to get like my old one, man, where it needs stuff all the time. That's stupid. I gotta have, my phone won't work for this, so I'm trying to use this tablet, and I had it propped on books, and sorry, that's what I got. I'm a Neanderthal, remember? I'm an idiot with this stuff, this technological stuff.
Hi from California. We just bought a house north of you in Mississippi.
What's the best
Hopefully we can ride someday.
tools for roadside repairs?
Oh.
Oh man, I've got a little video I did about my tools, and it's just a bag with a mess of tools in it. And I don't know. I got enough stuff in there. I can pull the primary completely apart. I can stop in an aftermarket shop, motorcycle shop, Harley shop. Go in and buy a stator for like $85. Walk out in the parking lot and put it in with the tools on the bike. So I've got a bunch of them, but they're just thrown in a bag. And I don't even know what's in there, man. It's a big mess.
I would
I
say
keep enough to be able to do quite a bit of work, though.
I would say I did a video on that, and the best tools to have on your bike is the tools that's relevant for the bike you're riding.
For mine, a half inch wrench, especially socket. Man, I don't even know. I don't have like a nice toolkit like people got. It's just a bag.
Well, and
it changes too. I work at Rallies.
Yeah.
I work on bikes and I work at Rallies. Sometimes, and I tell the guys when I leave, because I'm always borrowing tools, right? Because a lot of these guys have more tools than me. These guys who come in that I'm working with, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell them when the rally, I'm like, look, man, if any of your stuff ends up, if I find any of your tools in mine, I just want to thank you right now. Because I'll already be gone.
That's it. Yeah, that's easy to do.
But they end up with mine too, Sometimes it changes a little bit. The one's relevant to the bike. I don't know.
Well,
I don't even know where I got all them tools. Some of them I bought, but a lot of them I just acquired them. I don't know where I got them.
that's like a lot like my tool set,
Corey, somebody wants to see your patches.
My patches?
That's what he's asking for. That's Scott. Cool name.
My patches are in the garage.
Randy from Swananoa, what's going on, buddy? You're watching this. You're the one who I learned how to do this. I stayed at Randy's place while I was doing this engine because he lives right down from the shop. I camped in his garage, which was good because it was so cold up there, He let me use a little electric heater. I had it in my tent. I mean, it gets out cold up there.
Yeah.
I had the tent up in the garage, man. Yeah, and he would watch these things, and that's where I was like, I had to try that live thing.
Mike Rollins is asking me where's the best place to go see the Mississippi River. On the Mississippi side, the two places that come to mind is Natchez, because you got the bridge that goes across it, and then Vicksburg's got a cool set of twin spans that go across it. And there's a couple of other places in Louisiana that crosses the Mississippi River, and I can't remember exactly what bridge that is because it's on the way to Alexandria, but you can check those highways out.
Oh, let's see. I've been asked here, how come I don't turn on Super Chat? And I'm going to tell you guys something. I don't know if y'all knew this about that Super Chat thing, okay? So I'm never going to use it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because off of that Super Chat thing, Randy, you still watching this? That's where I learned it, because he watches these guys doing all the Super Chat thing. YouTube keeps 30% of your money. Okay, and if you have the partnership deal with them, which I think you have to have in order to have monetization, ever have commercials. If you don't put commercials on, they're not going to spread it around because you're not making any money. Nobody will see it.
Right.
So you have to monetize. They take another 15. So they're taking 45% of your money.
Oh, so the 45% is super chat plus the
30 they take. The Super Chat is 30, and then if you are on, I went and watched some YouTube videos on it because I want to learn about it.
Right.
So they're taking almost half the money, man. Now, this platform censors Americans, and that pisses me off. And I don't want to give them your money. You understand? So what I do is I just always still put that PayPal link down in the bottom. That thing only takes 3% for anybody who wants to use that. So I'm not going to use the Super Chat. I don't know if you guys knew that about this. So, censorship pisses me off. I'm an American. We're not supposed to be censored, right? We're supposed to have freedom of speech. So that makes me not want to give these guys any more than I have to. So that answers that one. Somebody asked about that, right? Okay. If Harleys didn't exist, what would I ride? God, it depends what you want, but I like touring. So my bike would definitely be something more like a Goldwing. Now the Goldwings are really heavy. You ever ride any other touring bikes?
No.
I like touring bikes, right? Well, you ever ride any Jap bikes you really like? Somebody's asking me what Jap bike.
I had that 198 Honda Shadow 1100 is the only Jap bike I ever had. And no, that's not true. Somebody gifted me a Yamaha one time, but I sold it immediately. But I haven't ridden any other touring bikes from any other line. So no, that's not true. Anonymous Biker USA. I'm sorry, I forgot. He's got that Kawasaki bagger, and it looks like a monstrosity of a motorcycle. And I rode it around the parking lot at New Orleans Harley Davidson, and I was surprised at slow speeds how it doesn't feel like a heavy motorcycle. I'm riding it in circles like it's a Sportster or something like that.
Handled well.
Yeah, handled pretty good.
I rode a lot of different touring bikes because I'm into touring, so those are the bikes I want to ride. And I've ridden the BMWs. I rode the Goldwings. The best one I ever rode that I liked the most, which was a long time ago, was a big Kawasaki with an inline 4 water cooled. Nothing fancy, but as far as if you were just going to judge it on how it rode, it would probably be that. But a lot of people who want to like beginner bikes, that kind of thing, at the rallies, so I work tires, and I always ask the customers when I have the opportunity, how do you like this bike, whatever bike they got? Because I'm taking a poll a little bit. Some guys like the bike, maybe they got a whatever, the Honda Shadow. How do you like that bike? And some like them, some don't, and I kind of weigh it out. There's 2 bikes that everybody that's owned them likes, everybody that's had them, as far as what they've told me. That's the Honda Valkyrie, which they brought back
Really?
recently. The Honda Valkyrie. Yeah, I
They
never
brought it
meet
back.
anybody. It looks
Okay.
different. They're calling it a Valkyrie, but it's the same basic thing.
Is it a
The
six,
Honda
six
Valkyrie.
cylinder?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's got the kind of a souped-up Goldwing engine in it. And the other one is the Yamaha V-Star. And I
Really?
think people like the V-Stars. Yeah, they have a very low seat height. They're not tipsy at all. They're a great beginner's bike, and they make them in a bunch of different sizes. They got like a 600 and then a 900, I think, and they make different sizes of them, all the way up to the Royal Star, which is a touring version of it.
That
So a
surprises
lot of people
me.
like that one.
I thought Goldwing would be one of those because
Goldwing's so
the people
fucking heavy. They're heavy, man. They weigh a
heavy.
ton.
Yeah, they're heavy, but
That
those people, those Goldwing riders are loyal. You know, they're loyal to those bikes.
right?
You know.
There's a lot of different bikes people are loyal to.
Well, I guess
You can
so.
go on Big Dog here. There's a bunch of people that are loyal to Big Dog, right? Big Dog.
Big Dog sucks.
Derek's my friend, and he owns what's left of Big Dog, and I have to wear it. He gives me this shit.
Well, there goes a
he's-
potential sponsor for me. Huh?
Yeah, he's stuck a big. That's my friend up in Kansas. Some of you guys, I made videos about his place. He's an entrepreneur. He doesn't even ride, but whenever you need Big Dog, you'll be dealing with him because he ended up acquiring all of what's at the Big Dog. And
Well,
he's a really honest guy.
I will ask
He's
this.
really like
I will ask this. Have
right
they gotten
on guy.
have they gotten better since the early 2000s?
If you had,
Because
they're not
everybody-
making them anymore.
Oh, they're not.
No, if you want parts, you got to get them from him.
Oh,
He also owns some farmland and
so
some other
he doesn't
stuff.
build the bikes.
No, he sells parts for him now.
Oh.
But anything you need for him, so there's a
Okay.
following
Does
for him.
every-
He gives me the shirts, but he gives me a lot of other stuff.
That's cool.
He gives me
I'm not-
parts. I need a starter. I call him up and say, hey, Derek, and he sends me a starter, right? So
I'm talking
he's
about.
out there drinking beers one day after work. Him and his wife sits around outside and drink beer.
Hmm.
And he's got a Big Dog sticker and he's putting it on my bike. Choppers are the opposite of touring bikes.
Yeah.
So they're the opposite of what I like. They're the complete other end of the scale, right? I'm like, because he's getting ready to stick it on. I'm like, I couldn't tell him no.
Okay.
It's still on there. What can I say?
Baton Rouge Bridge used to live in Natchez. Big place.
If we could use one camera for both of us.
Hey, what's your take on Indian? Somebody's asking that. What's actually our take on Indian?
You want to go first or me?
Well, I don't know anything about Indian. I have never ridden an Indian motorcycle before. And
I have. I've ridden them.
What are they like?
First off, I've ridden the Indians, and I have a lot of friends who have them that really like them. I've got friends who went from Harleys to them and kept them, and don't intend to go back. Okay, I preferred what's the other one Polaris used to make?
Here, hold on a sec. Thanks, Jesse.
What's that?
Super chat.
Oh, you got a super chat. I'm never going to use super chat. I'm not doing that. So you guys can use that PayPal link in the bottom if you want. So I like the victories. Okay,
Victories?
now let me say something about Indian. Okay, Indian is not Indian. Indian went out of business, and I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying the truth. Okay, Indian went out of business. I think in 1952. Was early 50s. Okay. When Harley became so successful, there was and other companies that tried to jump on their shirt tails and and climb up for some of that success. You had bring back a few other bikes. I forget what the name of that other one was, but the Indian name was floating around out there, and a couple of different guys bought the name and tried to build bikes. It happened like 3 times, and they didn't have the money to build motorcycles. And so they were like aftermarket Harleys, S&S engines and stuff. They weren't Indians. And so when Polaris bought the name, I always wondered why Harley didn't buy the name and then kill it. Just stuff it under the rug. I didn't wonder why they didn't do that. But when Polaris, a big company, when they got the name, I was like, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what they're going to do. So they built a lookalike bike. And I listened. There's nothing Indian about it. Nothing. It's a Polaris motorcycle. So I read an article with one of their executives, and he said, first we had to decide if the Indian name could hold its mud. Then we had to find out what people remembered about it most. Okay, and they thought it would be the fenders, but it turned out it was the engine. Mm-hmm. So they built this engine to look like an Indian engine. Well, that Indian engine, if you go on your phone and you put in S&S X-Wedge, that is a copy of the S&S X-Wedge, which came out in 2002. That's a 3-cam engine, and if you hold them next to each other, you can see that Polaris made a better one, and it's a good bike. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying they're nothing, but it's an X wedge. It's an X wedge engine, brother. It's that 3-cam deal. So there's nothing Indian, nothing.
I remember
it's a Polaris motorcycle, and so was Victory. Yeah, and the truth I liked the way the Victories rode better personally.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. I remember that 3-cam motor when it came out in the early 2000s.
Well, take a look at the Indian.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was made by S&S though.
Yeah.
Because before that they had the regular S&S V-twin. What do they call it? The Gilroy era.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was just a knockoff of an Evo engine.
Yeah.
The Gilroy era. But that was these different companies. One guy got a bunch of investors together. He built a wooden mock-up. They always make a wooden mock-up before they actually build the bike. I don't know why, but that's what they do. And he took the investors' money and he left the country.
Oh,
he ripped them off on that whole Indian deal.
How nice!
It's like 3 guys tried to bring it back. So Polaris is now. So they just put the name on it. And everybody goes, "Oh, it's Indian." I'm like, "Stop being gullible. There's nothing Indian about that, and it's not a bad bike." Right. You know, my friends love them. I like the way the Victory rode better, which was also made by Polaris.
Anonymous Biker is telling me that I have sat on an Indian. He's reminding me of the time when I sat on his bike. He's got an Indian Scout.
I used to have
but I never got to ride it, though.
I did. I had a girlfriend who had a lot of Comanche in her.
Okay, whatever.
She was a real Indian.
Yeah, well, she didn't have wheels, though.
Oh, she had wheels. Yeah, she had wheels. She had a Sportster.
Okay.
My old girlfriend.
Oh, man.
She was a good percentage.
Hey, look who's on! Hey, look, Black Dragon TV is on right now.
Who's Black Dragon TV?
Black Dragon Biker TV. He's a pretty good dude.
Is he?
Yeah. He's from Atlanta, Georgia.
I don't actually watch this stuff. Watch videos.
He does biker news stuff.
Ah.
Well, motorcycle club stuff. Not your thing, but I like the. I was in a club years ago, so I find this stuff pretty interesting. I'm curious as to what's going on. I watch him and what's the name, Insane Throttle. That he does the same thing, but. Another guy named Demon's Row. A whole other thing that has nothing to do with motorcycle travels, but nevertheless, it gets my attention, It's pretty good guys, though.
Now people are talking about Indians over here. It's just the truth of it, guys. It's Polaris makes good stuff. It's a Polaris motorcycle.
They make good jet skis.
And people like them. I've never had one. I'm not interested in all the new high-tech stuff. If I can't fix it with my own hands, I don't want it. That's the way it is. That's a personal thing, I guess. Well, he's that way too, though. Some of us are like that.
Scotty has 611 viewers, says Vid. Well, of course he does. This guy's a rock star. I'm just.
How many do you got?
100. No, I'm sorry, reading it wrong. 175.
I don't know how to check on all that, you guys.
Well, how do you know? He's been at the YouTube thing a lot longer than me.
Yeah, I'm old and I'm prettier. Well. Okay. We won't go there. Nah. That's debatable. Who's prettier, guys? Tell us.
Don't.
No girls. We got any girls on here?
Most of my demographic are dudes.
That's true. So are mine.
Hey, yeah, I've heard this one.
I get a couple girls once in a while.
Check this out. There's this thing that I guess it's something. Harley has capitalized on this, on advertising their product in the past, and of course, Hollywood has glorified this. Like if you've got a motorcycle, you're going to get all the chicks or whatever, or something like that. And what I have found, if I'm riding around on my chopper or riding around on any of my bikes, it tends to attract more dudes at the gas pump than women. So I think that's a lie.
I'll tell you what'll attract more women is a dog.
A dog?
Yeah, a little dog's a chick magnet.
I didn't know that.
And it'd be cheaper than a Harley probably than a motorcycle. But you got to feed them, or they got shit in the house. You got all that. You got to house drink them. Yeah, you got the problems with the dog. Which one do you think's more trouble, the bike or the dog?
Probably I don't know what it is.
The dogs are chick magnets. You walk down the road with your little dog, man. It's true.
That's
My old girlfriend used to have one. Well, Michelle, she used to travel with that little dog, and that's what she said. All the women wanted because she's a chick magnet.
I wonder if Sandoval got a lot of chicks carrying that dog around with him going across the country.
I don't know. People like little dogs. I like little dogs.
Yeah,
I love dogs.
Oh,
I like dogs. I like cats.
His dog died recently. Did you hear about that?
Somebody just told me that.
Yeah, he made a video about it.
Old age? Was it natural causes?
Yeah, I think so. He's pretty broken up about it, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know what they do with dogs? They can breed them to be tall, short, long hair, thin hair, shed, not shed, flat face, long face. All these different ways they can breed dogs. You know what I always wonder?
What's that?
Why don't they breed them to live longer? That's what people want. If you could breed a dog to live 25 years, because that's the problem. People get really attached to their dogs, and then they outlive them, and then they're sad. You ever been to the pet cemetery in Florida?
I saw the movie.
Well, this is different than the movie. There's a real pet cemetery. Where's it at? It's in Gainesville, just south of Gainesville. Yeah, and at the entrance to it, it has a statue of an angel with the wings, and she's bent down and she's petting a dog.
It's not a dog with wings?
No, but the angel's petting the dog. And then you go in there, of course I had to go in and look, right? And there's like actual headstones, and some of these people have money. Some people retired to Florida have money.
Right on.
That's really kind of interesting. Yeah, you got a little Tweety bird with a headstone. Girls, you're like, really? That's cool. It's something to see, you know? Right.
I'm going to take one more question, and I'm going to call it an evening here. You keep streaming on yours, though.
Yeah, he does.
Black Dragon says, my dog gets plenty of women. I saw where your dog attracted a coyote, too. Oh, well.
My scariest time in Mexico?
Do you watch
There's been a couple of weird things that have happened, but nothing that really scared me to death. That's the Randall Boy 70. That's the guy I'm going. Randall Boy 77. One time it's kind of a long story, and they ended up getting me for a total of $25. It's a whole story. It has to do with women luring me away, and it was like I had a bunch of money on me. I had like $200 on me, and these guys only ended up wanting $25. I mean, I'd have to get into it. It's a whole story, but nothing. I've never had anything really bad happen in Mexico. I can't say I have. I really haven't. I've been going down there 20, 25 years. I'm not saying it can't happen. I mean, I used to have a boss who was beat almost to death here at the beach. He was in California, sitting on the beach, sitting in his car on the beach at night, and they beat him up. Just take his money. He had to have facial reconstruction. So, I mean, stuff can happen anywhere, you know. But no, I've never had nothing big happen down there. I really haven't.
All right.
So what are we doing? We getting ready to get off of here?
I'm looking for a question to answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's enjoyable to hang out here with these guys. Have a nice home.
Hey, this guy Maximum Overdrive says this is like watching an old Cheech and Chong movie.
Yeah, he said we ain't as funny and our joints ain't as fat. Oh, well, I don't know. I got some funky joints here, right? I think I'm getting some arthritis in there or something.
Scotland.
I've had that for years.
Scotland wants to know what's the longest road trip for you. I guess he's either talking to you or me or both of us. My longest road trip has been I think it was back in 2017. The missus and I got on the bike, and we live in southern Mississippi, right on the coast. And we went to go visit some
really nice area.
And we went to visit some friends we've never met before. I only knew them by social media, all the way out to Los Angeles, you know. And that's about a little over 2,000 miles. Not a nice area. And
Los Angeles.
But the cool thing about that trip is I got to see parts of the country I've never seen before. I've never seen the American West, so that's the first time I'd ever been west of San Antonio. And I saw some places, you know, coming back, because we took our time coming back. So we took the back roads through Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And there's some places where I said to myself, where the heck am I? I mean, and here's the cool thing about that trip, you know, traveling on an interstate, it's all business. It's like, let's get there, let's get it done, let's get back. You have points of reference to let you know how far you are from your destination or where you're going and all that kind of stuff. On those back roads, you don't have any of that. You just have towns, you have trees, you have bushes, you have nothing, you have things to look at. You meet people at the gas stations. And while you're traveling on those 2-lane roads, you know that you're far from home, maybe 1,500 miles, maybe 2,000 miles. And you know that if I just keep going down this road here, I don't know where I'm going to end up tonight, but I'm just going to keep going. If I keep going this way, I know I'm not going to make it home tonight either, or tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day. But if I just keep going this way, I'm going to get to where I need to be. That's the fun thing about trips like that. And to me, whenever I do a long trip, I prefer to do the back roads on the way home, because I never like to film the ride home, much less do the same route home. So if I take a different way home, like on the back roads, it feels like I'm not really going home. I'm just still going somewheres, you know. That's just me. But Scotty's got a different perspective, because he lives the life, and he's got a whole different angle on it, I imagine. So what was your best trip? You're still on your trip, basically.
Oh, my longest trip.
He's still on a trip, you know?
Yeah. So he's asked me what's the best underwear to wear for traveling. And I'm gonna tell you something, brother. I've never owned any underwear.
I didn't know that. None of my business either.
I can't wear underwear. I got huge balls. I
Yeah.
can't wear underwear. I can't do it.
Well,
Somebody
anyway.
asked me a question for you. Can you go back with this?
Well, here, let me hold on a second. All right, guys. Right now, I've been on this.
What
for
would be
about
the go-to bike thing happening in Mississippi?
in Mississippi?
Yeah, somebody asked me. I can't find
The
it.
only
I
bike
don't
thing
have
I
the
know
name.
of in Mississippi, it happens in there's a little bike event that happens in Gulfport, right off the racetrack road on the Canal Road exit. It's called the Memorial Day Blowout. And the other event that I know of in Mississippi happens in Little Sturgis, which is in Sturgis, Mississippi. It's much further north. And actually, the guy over here asked that question. I mean, I'd be looking over here. Anyway, it is.
We should put that right next to mine, so we could have been not looking at one to the other.
What do you mean, like?
Yeah, because you're looking mostly at yours. I'm looking mostly at mine, because those are your guys.
I guess.
We should have thought about that.
But-
I don't know.
But to answer your question, that's the only thing that comes to mind. But anyway, guys, I've been on for about an hour and 16 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Scotty's probably still gonna keep streaming.
No, I'm
So
not. I'm
if
going to
you-
end when you do.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hour and 15 minutes, pretty long, isn't it?
It is pretty long.
Yeah.
Oh well. But anyway, you got any last things you want to share with these
I
guys?
really wish
these
we
guys?
could have filmed in the garage. But
Yeah.
there's no internet. There's no internet. The phones don't work out there, because the garage is the place we would have liked to
Well, yeah,
be.
the metal buildings aren't very nice to the phones.
Yeah, we
phone
can't
reception.
we can't do
Yeah.
anything live out there. It's all got to be. So that's the thing. I would way rather be out there. It's got
Yeah.
all the bikes and all the parts and
Right on.
Oh yeah, Corey's and all the tools in my bed. That's still
Right
laying on
on.
the ground up there.
But anyway, you know the cliche. You guys keep the rubber side down, all right? And be good to yourselves. And thanks for coming over and hanging out with us, all right?
I'm heading for Texas,
And
guys.
he's going to Texas, yeah.
I'm gonna be in the Houston
You
area.
won't let me end.
I'm gonna be in the Houston area. So maybe anybody who lives around that area can get a hold of me if you like. And
Anyway.
all of these comments don't show up. You've got to go over to when it's already up on YouTube and comment there. I thought these would come up. They don't. We're getting off here because he's
Yeah.
tired. He's got to go to bed.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.